This is just a little impromptu video I thought I would make for you guys. Here's a new tractor. There's always a new tractor at this place, so I figured it'd be worth making another video. This machine actually isn't mine. I just picked it up for my cousin. It's a 1992 John Deere LX188, and I actually wasn't expecting it to bring it back to my house, but we just purchased it and it's been sitting for a little while, so I figured I would put it to work mowing the lawn just to, you know, wake it up a little bit, see what it can do. It's changed up from having to use the 210 because I've been using the 210 to do a lot of my lawns lately. So my cousin just moved into town here. He didn't have a lawnmower before, or he didn't have a big enough piece of property to use a riding mower. He just used a push mower, but he just moved on to an 1.5 acre lot, or it might be 2 acres, I'm not sure. So he asked my help. He asked for my help looking for a riding mower that he could use, something that was suitable for him to use. Now, I wanted to make sure he didn't get, you know, like a little cheap piece of junk like a Home Depot machine, and he didn't really have a big budget. He was kind of looking, you know, money was a little tight, didn't want anything too fancy, so he wasn't really looking for a garden tractor. He just wanted something that could mow his lawn, you know, once every week or two and could push a little bit of snow if he had to. Since I'm a Deere guy, usually, you know, if someone asks me like for recommendations on what, you know, what's a good lawn tractor to use, I usually steer them towards the LX series because, you know, back in their day, 20, 25 years ago when these things were built, these were the top of the line lawn tractor that John Deere built. And they're very capable tractors. I mean, they're small, but they're very durable, and they have, you know, they have tougher engines and drivetrain components than most other cheap lawn tractors. I mean, this is probably like a $5,000 machine back when it was new. So anyway, the LX series have a pretty good reputation. I owned an LX176 about 4 years ago with the little 14 horse Kawasaki single, and I was just amazed at how much power that thing put out and how sturdy it was built for its size. Because up until that point, most of the little lawn tractors I had ever dealt with were just, you know, cheap like box store models that weren't very durable. So I was blown away by the capability of that LX that I used to have. And from that point on, like I said, whenever someone asks for recommendations for a lawn tractor, I recommend an LX series for them. So I started looking for an LX series for my cousin, and this LX188 popped up for sale on Craigslist about a week ago. It was about 15 minutes away from here, and I sent the link to my cousin. He inquired about it. He reached out to the guy and seemed interested in it, and he didn't really know, you know, what to look for when buying one of these machines. He knows I'm the real person to ask. So he was asking me for advice, and I said, yeah, this is a good deal. You'll probably want to, you know, hit this guy up. So he set up a time to go look at it, and he asked me to go with him so I could check it out. And so we hooked up my trailer and went down to the guy's farm about 15 minutes away from here and checked this thing out. He was only asking $600 for it, and he had it listed on Craigslist. The story behind this tractor is it supposedly came from a small engine repair shop estate sale. The owner of the shop passed away, and they were looking to liquidate, and he had this mower that he used for mowing around the shop. And the guy we bought it from, this farmer we bought it from, bought it real cheap at the estate sale to mow around his little roadside stand with. And he only used it for a little bit because he had another tractor. He had like an LX266 or LX288, whatever it was, sitting in his barn. So he didn't really have a use for two tractors. So he put this one up for sale. And for $600, I mean, for an LX series in this condition, it's not perfect, and it's, you know, a little bit rough around the edges, but it's a 25-year-old machine, and it is going to need a little bit of work. You know, for that amount of money in this condition, I thought it was a pretty good deal, because these liquid-cooled these higher-end LX series usually sell for a good chunk of money. So we made the guy an offer. I test drove it, you know, started it up. It started right up on the first crank. I ran it around the guy's yard a little bit and test mode with it and just let it run. And it seemed to be pretty solid. So we made him an offer and loaded it up on the trailer and brought it back to my house. And my cousin's letting me, you know, clean it up and service it for him, and, you know, put it under a load and test it out to make sure it's a good machine for him to use before I deliver it to his house. And, you know, for what we paid, we paid just a little less than $600 for it. But for what we paid, I think we did pretty good. It's a pretty solid tractor if you can't tell. I missed having my LX176 that I had a few years ago, so it's nice to get behind the wheel of another LX series. Kind of a shame I'm not keeping it, but I'll tell you what, if I lived in a heavily populated area like a suburb and I had a small piece of lawn to mow and I didn't have any plans to put a garden in, I would definitely buy one of these LX series. They're very tough lawn tractors for what they are, very capable. This is a 1992 model. It's the first year they were made, so it has an early serial number, obviously. What's cool about this machine is it's got a liquid-cooled Kawasaki engine. It's a 17 horsepower twin-cylinder, V-twin, I mean. And I've worked on a couple machines with liquid-cooled engines. Like, I've been around a couple machines with liquid-cooled engines, but I've never really gotten the chance to, work on one or own one. So I'm going to have this machine in my house for the next couple days, just so I can get it all fixed up and ready for my cousin to use. It's been, the guy said it had been sitting for a couple weeks, and he hadn't used it to mow since last year, so it really hasn't mown at all this year. So I'm just putting it to work mowing my lawn here. It's actually got the old gas in it from last year, but it seems to be running all right. So I figured I'd just let the old gas burn off, and then I'll clean the fuel system out and put fresh gas in it. So I'm just putting it to work mowing my lawn here, and as you can see, it seems to be mowing pretty good. And these are nice clean cut. This tractor has a 48-inch deck. Most of the LX series you find have a 38-inch deck, which is a two-blade deck. And my LX176 had that. And it was a nice mowing deck. It was great for bagging, but it wasn't big enough for what I needed. So this 48-inch deck is actually really nice. That's why we got the 48-inch deck on the X570, because it's perfect for what I need. And it cuts great. The blades are pretty sharp. It has a more recent sticker from our local John Deere dealer on it, so evidently it had been serviced by the dealer, which is good. Even though it came from a small engine shop, which is kind of strange. You'd think the guy would have done his own maintenance on it himself, but nonetheless, it seems to be a really solid tractor. What's good about this thing is it has most of the LX series tractors, as you guys know, they were notorious for having cheap plastic hoods that broke really easily. And this one doesn't seem to really be, flimsy. It's got a little crack here where someone must have pulled up too hard when they went to open the hood. But otherwise, I mean, it's pretty solid. So it's kind of uncommon to find one of these 90s John Deeres that doesn't have a busted hood. So that was another big selling point. So we definitely think it was worth what we paid. It's a really tough tractor. It seems to be doing a great job mowing. I've been using the 210 the past week to do all my mowing since the X570 is at the dealer for service, for warranty work. So it's nice to jump to a different machine and try out a different machine every once in a while. Nice and sharp. The steering's a little bit stiff, but I don't think it's been greased. The guy did say it would need a tune-up. It was dirty from sitting in his barn, so I hosed it off, and I'm gonna, just go over it, change the oil, change the filters, flush the coolant, which is actually something I've never had to do before because I've never owned a liquid-cooled lawn tractor before. But I'll, check the filters and fluids, change them if I have to. Sharpen the blades. I'll probably take the mower deck off and clean the underside of it. But it seems to be mowing pretty good. And then, of course, I'll grease everything. This thing seems to be running good. I mean, it needs a little TLC. Like you can see here, the little yellow cover for the PTO switch is broken off, but the switch still works. One of the headlights work, but the other one has a burnout bulb, so I'm going to have to fix that. The hydro feels good. It seems to have plenty of power. The drive belts seem to be in good shape, and the deck belts too. And the nice thing about these older tractors is there's no safety features for reverse mowing, so you don't have to push a button to back up. There's no Rio. That's real nice. It's another thing I love about these LX series. If you can find one of these LX series tractors cheap, I would definitely pick it up. Like I said, if I had a smaller piece of property and I didn't have any, need for doing garden work, or rough work, aside from mowing, I would definitely buy an LX series like this. So, just figured I'd make this video so you guys could watch me mow with it a little bit. Something a little different. Now that the plow day madness is over. I just finished up school, so I'll finally have more time to make more YouTube videos. I got lots of projects lined up this summer, so I think you guys will be happy to see what I have in store. So stay tuned. Like I said, it's always cool to have the opportunity to run a different machine and to show it on my channel, because I know that's what you guys like to see. The oil light and the coolant light haven't come on at all, so I guess that's a good thing. The coolant was pretty full. I think it still needs to be flushed out though. I mean, God knows when it was last changed, and the guy said the oil hasn't been changed. But I know it's got oil in it. That's a plus. Start. So I'll spend the next couple days cleaning this thing and getting it ready to go for my cousin, and should make a good mower for him for, you know, the next few years. So